UIC.
Freedom the people of
Hell yeah.
freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah,
Yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. That when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. This is Joseph Patterson speaking, President of the UIC. Looking forward to having a chat with you this evening about bread and circuses. Bread and circuses. Have you ever heard that phrase before? It might not be familiar to many persons, but it's a very powerful statement that I'm going to elaborate on in a little bit. So, welcome, good night to all of you. I see my good friend Lion Rule is on. He's the first one on, on every single live. Lion Rule is their number one, and I think number two is JMH. And I see Gloria Morris as well, and Trudy and Mackenzie and Cordell. Good evening and welcome to you all. Uh, Yesterday was my birthday, August 2nd. Spent it quietly with my lovely wife Charlotte. Actually, we went for a nice long walk down to the river after having a late breakfast, which was pretty much lunch because I slept in until about 9 o'clock, which is unusual because normally I am out of bed between 4 or 5, the latest 6 a.m. in the morning. But on my birthday, I decided to catch up on some well-needed sleep. The day before that, we had a lovely session at the office where a lot of persons from the UIC family and some well wishers and friends came together, and we had a good session at the head office here in St. Elizabeth. So it's a pleasure to be on with you tonight to talk about the topic this evening. Thanks for the birthday wishes, Ken, and others. Good evening, Ken. Good evening, Jay. Uh, Ken says, blessed heard strong. And Jay says, I was disgusted all week. I had no time to play fool to this fake freedom celebration. I'm glad that you saw it. I can't celebrate freedom while my water is being poisoned. Exactly. And no one is being held accountable. I'm amazed that it do. It's amazing to see every time we have these problems, people have to make up noise and demonstrate or call here so and call there so. When the government should just respond. I mean, if you have our waters being polluted by the bauxite miners, there should be a very quick response from the government to one, rescind their operating license, and two, take immediate measures to protect the citizens. So yeah, it's pretty sad that we have to talk about even going to court to get basic things done. Thank you, Gloria, for the happy birthday greetings. Thank you, Supreme TV. A pleasure. Sylvester Lawrence, thank you so much. Ken Francis says there's no freedom in Jamaica. Uh, really, I'm low, Trudy. Sorry about that. I wonder why. I did a nice mic check, before I came on, and it was supposed to be okay. But let me raise my voice. Maybe it's me. Sometimes I get a little low because I get so comfortable. And I normally speak in a low tone. So I have to raise my voice and make sure that you can hear me. So thanks for letting me know. So let's get into our topic for tonight. No, it's uh, a special one. How do I say this? How do I begin? How do I begin? Let me begin by giving you a quote. It's a quote from a gentleman who goes by the name Juvenal or Juvenal, way back from the uh, what do you call it now? The common era after Christ, sometime in the first or second century. So this gentleman Juvenal says he had a quote, and he says, "Give them bread and circuses, and they will not revolt. Give them bread and circuses, and they will not revolt." Now, if I said it in Jamaican, we say, "Give them bread and circuses, and they won't revolt. They won't rebel." Now, that's like saying, other phrases that are similar to that is like smoke and mirror, horse and pony show, or cloak and dagger. So the bread and circuses um, is referring to bread and games, like the Colosseum, the gladiator games. So bread and circuses is a metonymic, if you will, or metonym, metonym. Why am I getting this wrong? It's kind of like a figure of speech, where you are referring to something as being a form of superficial appeasement. This is where you're going to appease the crowd with something quite superficial. It's not substantive. It's not really addressing the problem. So this quote, "Give them bread and circuses, and they will not revolt," is attributed to this Roman poet, Juvenal, writing around the first or early second century CE, the Common Era after Christ. The quote is commonly used in culture, particularly about political developments. It's in the political context. The phrase means to generate public approval, not from excellence in public service or public policy, but by diversion and distraction, or by satisfying the most immediate or base requirements of a populace by offering a palliative. In other words, give them a belly full bread and some entertainment, circuses, so you can distract them from what's really going on, and you don't have to actually fix the problem because you have caused them to get excited and start to jump up and down and forget about their real problem and the real cause of the problem. It's like palliative medicine. A person is sick and you give them a painkiller which addresses the symptom but does not address the underlying problem. And so what will happen is after a while, the underlying problem will get even worse while you are, for a time, covering up the symptom until you hear that a small problem becomes an even bigger problem. So that's what this phrase is all about. Give them bread and circuses, and they will not revolt. So the government today is giving us bread and circuses so that we do not revolt. They've been trying for some time now to, well, force by law. They should have called election last year, uh, um, or at the latest, this year, February gone. They should have called local government election at the time when the UIC was bubbling and steaming ahead. But they were afraid of the possibility, thank you, through the metaphor, afraid of the possibility of the upstart UIC taking some of their seats because the people were really tuning in. So what they did, they sent some people to disrupt the UIC internally, and then they call off the elections, and they've taken some time now to see if they can offer enough bread and circuses to distract the people to forget what was really done to them in the recent past and what is being done to them now. Ken Francis says the government of Jamaica is careless. I wouldn't say they're, well, yes, that's a good word, careless. They care less about Jamaicans. They couldn't care less about Jamaicans. Um, Sheldon McGann says, look at Housing Trust, Ruthven Tower Phase 2 project that was stopped. Yeah, so there's all kinds of issues, all kinds of corruption, all kinds of problems. Water problem, crime problem, education problem, road problem, pollution problem, learning loss problem. There's so many problems right now in Jamaica, and the government is very happy. They'll do anything to distract you from the reality at play at the moment. And so they know that the people are agitated. They know that the people are at the brink of breaking. They're very happy that very soon some of the people would have left. They would have gotten jobs overseas and left, so the pressure will be taken off in terms of, or more of our bright people will leave and go abroad. And because they're gone to live overseas, they're no longer a direct threat to the government here. So they're happy for that. So they've ramped up all of the marketing. They're marketing all of the token actions that they're taking. They're using our tax dollars to placate us with giveaway like free fake digital money. They're awarding houses to a few destitute persons. They're bringing water to one or two underserved communities. They're patching up a few roads to make them look new. They're attending funerals and putting on all kinds of show. They're putting on Emancipation Day floats. They're piggybacking on the success of our athletes. They're looking for political mileage from festival songs. They make grand announcements. Everything. They're doing everything in their power to distract you from the reality that after 78 years of their governance, there's nothing to show for it of substance. And if you look carefully, they're even coming together more and more publicly to create a united front. So you have now the two colonial parties are now united against the people of Jamaica. They are uniting their forces against the people of Jamaica. They are determined to make sure that you have no option. So they are uniting not to make Jamaica better. They're uniting to keep Jamaica the way it is. They're uniting to make sure that you have nowhere to turn. Yeah. So they are planning to make sure that the Jamaican people have no alternative but their two so-called options, because there are really no options. And if you think about it, I've explained this to you before. You know that both of these parties are funded by the same single source, the PSOJ elites, the PSOJ oligarchy that is funding them. So what you're seeing right now is the dog and pony show, the bread and circus show, so that you become distracted and spend your time clapping and cheering our wonderful athletes. God bless them. I'm so proud of the work that they have done, their individual achievements and collective achievements. That's wonderful. I'm proud of our musicians and our entertainers who have treated us to some wonderful songs and some great entertainment. That is lovely. We're very proud of all the persons in our society who have achieved anything. But we're not proud of our government. We're not proud of the work that the government has done. They have not achieved any medals. They have not ascended to either bronze, silver, or gold. They have not performed with distinction. They have not demonstrated creativity and innovation in solving the problems of Jamaica. They have demonstrated excellence in corruption. They have demonstrated excellence in incompetence. So we're not happy with them. But they're trying to trick us with entertainment. They're trying to trick us into celebrating emancipation. What emancipation? What have we been emancipated from? They're trying to trick us into celebrating independence. What independence? What have we been made independent of? Jamaica has never been more dependent and more in need of emancipation than now, since 1838. So from now, the British gave us our right, to vote in 1944 until now, 78 years. Our party, our political leaders have not been able to help Jamaica to achieve a gold standard in governance. Yeah. So we have some serious problems. So let us not fall for the bread and the circus act that they're putting on for us right now. Here's what the circus act looks like. Can I find the circus act? I'm going to show you what the circus act is looking like right now. Take a look. And they know the Jamaican people. They know, how we are. They know how we think. They know that we love a good celebration. They know we love to dance. We love to sing. We love to enjoy ourselves. They know that. So they give us these things and they hope that it will work. They hope it will work. And I'm saying to you, we must not allow it to work this time. We mustn't trick us this time into not seeing what they've really done to us. Here it is.
I want to make a movie. Where does the process begin? It begins with finding the idea. I'm standing at the edge of the...
Here it is. Take a look at it. Yeah. So that is the excitement that they want you to take away. They want you to come out and dance and frolic and laugh and drink and be excited. But how long are we going to do this for? How many celebrations are we going to have of a fake emancipation? How many celebrations are we going to have of a fake independence? I want to tell you something very, very important. Very, very important. All of this thing that we call Jamaica, all of this thing that we call independence and emancipation, and all of this thing that we call government and elections and democracy, all of it is fake. All of it is a fraud. We've been completely tricked, completely duped. Your parents, my parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, all of them duped and tricked into thinking that this thing we call Jamaica is an ordinary country and is on a normal trajectory and we're a free people. We're far from it. Let me expose to you some of the basic tricks that we're suffering from. So you might recall about 346 years ago, or rather for 346 years, we were in slavery from 1492, when Columbus discovered that there was a place here called Jamaica and the rest of the New World. From then, and there's a whole lot of history which is disputable. You can dispute the facts about whether we were brought here from Africa or whether we were already here. You can dispute names like Arawaks or Tiano or whatever other disputes you want to have. But the bottom line is, for about 346 years, we found ourselves in what is called chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is where you are treated worse than an animal, where you're chained up, you're yoked, you are flogged mercilessly, you are worked the bones in the fields, or brought into the house as a house slave, but you're still a slave. But chattel slavery lasted for a very long time, 346 years, which is amazing. It tells you a lot about how much we lost ourselves, how much we lost our place, where we, the people of Africa, found ourselves no longer free. We lost our freedom. We failed to defend our freedom. Our foreparents, our forefathers and mothers failed to defend our freedom. And so some white people came and took that freedom away, and we were not able to defend ourselves effectively. In fact, we were divided and weak. And so they came and they conquered. They tricked some of our own people into capturing us. And so they successfully captured us and enslaved us. Now, when they could not maintain that system of slavery anymore, because, over time things evolve. And over that period, many of the slaves revolted. Many slaves committed suicide. Many slaves escaped. Many slaves made it difficult for the white masters. And as a result of that, combined with changes in the global economy, changes in manufacturing techniques to produce sugar and cotton and coffee and tobacco, changes in trade relationships between countries, the existing form of slavery became very difficult to maintain. And so the slave masters, the colonial masters, the people behind the scenes in England and other parts of Europe made the decision that it made sense in 1838 to free the slaves. Watch me carefully. They decided in 1838 to free the slaves. Now that is absolutely ridiculous, because they did not free the slaves. Yes, they transitioned from one form of slavery, chattel slavery, to a different kind of slavery. In the new kind of slavery, the slave was told that he was going to be an apprentice now. He's free, so to speak, and he's to be an apprentice and should continue to work for his master so he can learn how to be a free man or free woman. And so they had the apprenticeship period of slavery, but they said the slave was freed, or at least, well, they abolished slavery in 1838. That was a lie, that was a trick. Of course, it was a change, but it was not real freedom. You don't have real freedom if you don't have the education and the capital in order to enjoy that freedom. They did not return to you your land. They kept it, and they compensated their slave masters who lost full control of their human capital in the form of slaves. And so they tricked us with the so-called apprenticeship period. That didn't last very long because the slaves agitated. Yeah, they agitated, and they continued to make life difficult for the slave master class. And so they then said, okay, we're going to allow you to be fully free, but that freedom did not come with the tools that you needed, with the things that you needed to be a free person. You have to be able to own property. You're not free unless you are a property owner, unless you have property rights. You're not free, which is why even to this day, many Jamaicans are not free because we don't have full property rights. So they never gave them property rights, they never gave them property, returned to them their property, but they said they were free. And what they did was to have a governor of England in the context of Jamaica, a governor of England in charge here that would run the affairs from a colonial office. During that time, there were no two-party system. Watch me carefully now. There were no two-party system when England ruled Jamaica. They ruled as a out-and-out dictatorship. There were no government and opposition. What you had was government. They were the government, and they had a governor, and they governed. And they made decisions. Now notice that under the colonial masters, Jamaica remained a very rich country, very, very rich country. At one point, we were called the jewel in the crown of England, and we were massively productive enterprise, of course with slave labor or cheap labor, but nonetheless, Jamaica was considered quite rich, quite wealthy. Now, under this colonial rule, the people still agitated. There was a lot of conflicts every now and again, and eventually you have some riots and you have some labor unrest. And out of that, they decided to give us some more freedom. I thought we were free already, but now they're going to give us some more freedom. So they decided that they're going to give us the right now to govern ourselves. They call it self-governance, self-government. So we're going to govern ourselves now. Watch me carefully, So now they made another change. They call it universal adult suffrage, where every man of a certain age, of course, whether they have property or not, whether they're rich or poor, whether they're black or white, every man would be able to vote. And so now you have the right to vote. Jamaican people were so excited. Oh God, the white colonial masters are giving us something beautiful. They're giving us the right to vote, something that our leaders were agitating for. You started to have some leaders coming up now called Manley and Boston and so on. Prior to this, you had Marcus Garvey and they quickly crushed him. So now you have these two groups emerging, these two tribes emerging, these two political entities emerging, being led by those who look more white than black. And interestingly enough, the colonial powers seemed quite happy with this. They seemed quite happy with the two that was coming forward. So happy that they made all kinds of deals with them, backdoor deals with them. Um, you know, you might recall Bustamante opening his shirt and saying, "Shoot me and leave the people." They never shot him. Maybe if a black man did that, they would have shoot him. But they didn't shoot Busta, and he went to prison, and his cousin um, uh, was his lawyer and got him out of prison. And then when they come out, they get an increase in wage for the slaves. Well, for not slaves, for the work. And he was hailed and raised above their heads, and they cheered, and we shall follow Bustamante until we die, and all that kind of stuff. And they created icons out of these two men who looked more white than black. And they created an establishment of these two parties, which were not um, parties that came out of the grassroots like the Marcus Garvey party was. Instead, these were now parties that were liked by the colonial establishment, that were sponsored and supported by the colonial establishment. And so the Jamaican people were fed another lie, that now they had two parties that were going to represent them and work in their interests. And so in 1944, we got the right to vote. We voted, and for the first time, the um, the Green Party won, and the Orange Party um, came second. The Independents won as well, and thus began our sojourn in the wilderness of divisive partisan politics. We did that for 18 years. 18-year experiment that the colonial masters tested to see how well the Jamaican people would adopt to this new way of being governed. Now let's ask ourselves the question, what really changed? The people were still not free. The wealth of the nation would still be distributed equally among the people of Jamaica. The opportunities for the people of Jamaica to grow remained limited. The natural resources and the physical wealth of Jamaica was still owned and concentrated in the hands of a few and under the control of the colonial masters through their puppets. So what has changed? All that was changed was the type of slavery in order to prevent the people from outright revolution, from the most bloody revolt ever. So what they keep doing, what they kept on doing was to ensure that they kept the people in check, so that they don't revolt. So they use system changes to keep the people in check. So from the so-called abolition of slavery, which was not a real abolition, it simply transition from one form of slavery to the next, the apprenticeship form. And then when they closed off apprenticeship form, it was simply a dictatorship of the colonial rule. And then they then created self-governance in 1944, which again, what was that? They now gave the people the right to vote, but what they did was to make sure that no matter what the people voted for, England would still appoint the governor, and the governor would have the last say, and they would give these tokens of the people, these elected tokens, a chance to quarrel about whatever they can quarrel about, and give the appearance that there is some amount of power given to them, to the people, through these representatives. And then once they see that it's working the way they want it to work, which means these so-called representatives can easily be manipulated and controlled to still carry out the interest of the colonial masters, then they say, aha, this is good. And 18 years later, they gave the people so-called independence again, because the people were beginning to agitate, saying, this now worked the way we expected it. This is not right. And the people were still pointing to the colonial masters as a key part of the problem or the problem. And so in 1962 now, we transitioned from that into so-called independence, which means stop pointing your finger at the crown. You will now fully point your finger at each other. You will fight each other for scarce benefits and spoils. You will kill each other. You will stab up each other. You will beat up each other. You will throw stones and sticks at each other. You will fire gunshot at each other. You will criticize each other. You will cuss each other. You will tear down each other. And you will become fully invested in tribalization. And you will fight to the death to get your hands on political power so you can be the distributor of whatever scarce benefits and spoils is left after the colonial masters get what they want out of the system. And so, after 18 years of so-called self-governance, which was no self-governance at all because the governor of England was in charge, to 60 years of independence with two well colonialized parties who are sympathetic to the crown, who believed in and worshipped England and England's systems and England's directives. They had the kind of leaders in Jamaica that they could count on to keep in place the mental slavery that was begun from the beginning of the first 346 years to the next 106 years of colonial rule, to the next 18 years of self-governance, so-called, plus now the current 60 years of independence, all of which is a fraud. It's deception, it's fraudulent, it's fake, and it has served its purpose well. I'll show you how well it has served its purpose. The Jamaican dollar that we have, our money that we use, so-called money, currency that we use here, has never been printed here, has never been produced here. It is always being produced outside of Jamaica. What does that mean? It means that we have never had control over our own money. And if we don't have control over our own money, who does? Our colonial masters have control. And when somebody else has control over your money, they're able to manipulate that currency, causing you a lot of pain without you even on the source of the pain or how to fix the pain. Yes, you have some symptoms that you try to address. And so you'll vote out this one and vote in this one. And then vote out this one and vote in the other one. Yes, you might lead some demonstration in the road. Yes, but the core problem still would not have been fixed. Our money is produced outside of Jamaica and is thus controlled by elements outside Jamaica. What does this mean? For example, how much Jamaican dollar are they printing? Who is getting those dollars? Who is controlling the process of the printing of those dollars? Who is ensuring that there is no leak where you have some people getting access to Jamaican dollars, which they can then pump into the Jamaican economy to buy assets with money that they have not earned, which then drives up the price of housing, drives up the price of other goods and services, devalue the Jamaican dollar against the US dollar, and leaves us in a terrible position, never being able to catch up. If you notice, since the Jamaican dollar has been brought into effect until now, it has only gone generally in one direction, and that is down. Yeah. But let's look at another example of how this fraudulent system that we're following is robbing us. Just recently, at the start of this year, but before that, the government has been consistently working under a system called central banking, a system that has been well developed and entrenched in the American monetary system, and which they have exported to the rest of the world, which was also entrenched in the British system. It's a system whereby your bank is so designed that persons who are unelected gets to control the money supply, the interest rate, and the exchange rate of your currency. Jamaica has been part of this system for some time now, but effective January thereabouts this year, they made the full transition of making the Bank of Jamaica independent of the government of Jamaica. Now, if you think about it carefully, the government of Jamaica is supposed to be the representative body of the people of Jamaica, right? It is supposed to be made up of the Jamaican people electing representatives at their constituency level to say form the parliament, which will then be the government of Jamaica, which is tasked with managing the affairs of Jamaica, including Jamaica's money supply, its banking system, its exchange rate system, and all that kind of stuff. But the government of Jamaica, with the full leadership and support of the two major parties, have agreed to give away the Bank of Jamaica, claiming they're making it independent. And with it, they gave about $18 billion of your money and my money to this group and say, you're now independent of us. You can do whatever you need to do to manage inflation, achieve full employment, and create stability in the economy. Yeah, that's the, the task that is assigned. Now, if the Bank of Jamaica is independent of the government, that means the Bank of Jamaica is independent of the people of Jamaica. And our bank is now fully owned and operated by persons who are not our government and do not represent us, are independent of us, and therefore we have lost control of our economy. And that has been given away by these two parties to private interests to own the Bank of Jamaica, to control the monetary supply of Jamaica, to influence and impact interest rate in Jamaica, and to influence our exchange rate, and by extension, control the lives of the Jamaican people without being accountable to the Jamaican people. Think about that. That's what these two parties have done while you're sleeping. While we are busy following the COVID story up and down, they're busy changing laws and giving away more and more of Jamaica to the colonial powers. So the fraudulent thing called Jamaica continues to exist from 346 years of slavery, 106 years of colonial rule on top of that 346, 18 years of colonial rule on the so-called self-governance, and then 60 years of puppet rule under the two major parties that have consistently lied to, misled, and misdirected the Jamaican people. They have been misallocating our resources, misdirecting our people and our industries, to the effect that today we stand with more and more of our industries collapsing. Sugar is gone. So many communities across Jamaica that were depending on the sugar industry, many families, that's what they were depending on. Sugar sent their children to school. Sugar paid for the little house they were able to build and not finish yet. I'm still try to build it. Over many years, they have some houses will never be finished. 20, 30 years, I'm still a bill. And these persons were depending on sugar. And this government, and when I said this government, I mean PNP and GLP combined. 78 years of them. This government No matter when they were elected, it's the same. A vote for PNP or GLP is a vote to continue this system. And so during this system, 78 years of this government, they have destroyed sugar, they have destroyed banana, they have destroyed coffee, they have destroyed coconut, and they have taken away tourism from the people of Jamaica and give it into private hands. They have taken away the banking sector from Jamaicans and given it to private hands. Yes, they have taken away Air Jamaica, couldn't manage it, sell it out. They have sold out our most important asset, our natural resource, to the bauxite companies, allowing these bauxite pirates to be extracting the value out of our land and leaving us with wasteland and mud lakes, toxic mud lakes, and leaving many citizens sick from ingesting or inhaling all of those toxic chemicals and dust that they have, the byproducts that they have produced, polluting our rivers, our waterway, our water table, killing off our fish, destroying the livelihoods of those who depend on the rivers, depend on fishing, depend on the tourism benefits that are derived from people coming to these places. So we're in serious trouble, friends. So when I talk to you now about the bread and the circuses, a long time this are gone. Every election, them fool up the people them with bread and circuses, handouts, and the people take it because the people are suffer, the people hungry. And so their goal is to keep the people hungry, keep the people suffering, so that every time they come for vote, they'll be ready. They want only two class of people in Jamaica, two class, apart from themselves up there. One class is the hungry belly, half-starving person who will take the money and go vote, and those who will be fooled with all kind of gimmicks such as increasing threshold or giving special benefits to one group or the other. Yeah, and they'll go out and vote for these lies and tricks, and later on find out that it was a lie and a trick. And then there's a larger pool of Jamaicans now who are eligible to vote. They have the voting age to vote, but they won't bother to vote because they're turned off from the system. They're turned off. They're done with that. So they want that large groups to stay there and don't get involved. Don't vote. Nobody get involved. Yes, stay over there. So they're happy with that. They're very happy with you not voting. And then they're happy to have this group now, a small and smaller group that they can just manipulate, give them a belly full, make them some dumb promises that sounds good in some cases, like free water or free electricity or the first person from your family get to go to university or some kind of gimmick like that, or some free money if you sign up on their central bank digital currency foolishness, which they're going to use and then control you and hang you afterwards. So all of these gimmicks and games and trickeries, that's all it is. Smoke and mirror, bread and circuses, and you buy into it, and then they destroy you. They destroy you, they destroy your family, they destroy our country. While they live a opulent lifestyle. So that's what's going on here in Jamaica. And it's not just here in Jamaica, you know, it's all over the world. But we and many other countries where the people are of mostly African descent suffer kind of more. And even within the first world countries, you'll also see where there are systematic attempts to oppress and suppress, certain classes of people. So it is what it is. We are in a precarious situation, and what shall we do about it? What shall we do? What shall we do about it, my fellow Jamaicans? What shall we do about this problem? Shall we get carried away with the theatrics, with the drama? You know, you have some, what do you call it now? You have some vloggers, yeah? All they specialize in is theatrics. So they will come on every single night. They have nothing else to do. They'll be on and they will be feeding you a steady diet of soap opera. You know, there'll be all kinds of aspersions and all kinds of um, beautiful contortions and twisting of language and so on. And they will impress you. And they will make you want to follow them every night. You go and sit down and listen to the diatribe. And you're going on and on. And yes, they can list all of the things wrong with Jamaica. But what is the solution? What are they offering you as a solution? What is the solution? Well, I can tell you what the solution is. We, the people of Jamaica, will have to decide that we want a new Jamaica, a better Jamaica, a well-governed Jamaica, a Jamaica which is governed to protect the interest of every single Jamaican. And the only way for us to do that is for us, we the people, to own and operate and fund and elect our own political party. That's the only way. Now, the UIC, the United Independence Congress, is that one political movement which is 100% committed to that task. We have made it clear to you that the two traditional political parties and any other one that comes, they are controlled by special interests. They're controlled by the PSOJ elites, the oligarchs, who stay behind the scene mostly, and then they give the same amount of money or thereabouts to these two groups, and they know that no matter which of them wins, they will still be firmly in charge of this country. They will be able to make sure that the regulations and laws are designed to protect them from you, are designed to give them the upper hand and to tie your hand behind your back and tell you to walk or run. So we in the UIC have made a conscious decision that we will not be taking money from those who want to dictate and control this country. We're going to take our money from ordinary Jamaicans like you here at home and abroad. Right now we have a fundraising target of finding 1,000 Jamaicans here at home or abroad to give $25 or its equivalent every month so that we have the budget we need to build this party out to all 14 parishes, all 63 constituencies, all 228 divisions, and all 6,800 plus polling divisions, so that come the next election, every Jamaican will have a chance to put their X beside the handshake and say, we want a new Jamaica, a UIC Jamaica that will protect the interests of all Jamaicans. That's what we want. Now, over the next several weeks, the government will continue, and by government I mean these two parties will continue to try to find new and innovative ways to give you bread and circuses. They will go to the diaspora and put on a show and pretend as if they have not been the criminal enterprises that they are. They will come into your communities. They will dance and sing. They will take off their shoes and roll up their pants and walk through rivers. They will go to the house of the old lady and the old man and sit beside them and even put a spoon of tea in their mouth. They will do everything to get you to once again believe in them and trust them. They will put a pretty face forward. They will put a black face or a white face, whatever face they think you want to see, they're going to put that face forward. And they're going to seek to move you emotionally again, to once again put your ex beside the head or the bell. But I want you to remember, you have done this now for 78 years. And I want you to think about it and say, what have I been voting for 78 years? What has my mother been voting for 78 years? What has my grandmother been voting for 78 years? What is it that Nanny and Sam Sharp and Paul Bogle died for that we have experienced over these 78 years? And if you honestly look at that carefully, there is no way on God's creation that you could bring yourself to give one more dollar, one more time, or one more vote to either of these two political gangs that is called a political party. As a matter of fact, many of us describe ourselves as Christians. Many of us in Jamaica. Jamaica has a lot of churches per square mile. Quite the density, if you think about it. Almost everywhere you go, you see a church. And almost every Jamaican you stop, they're a Christian. Many of them are always praying, always reading the Bible, always quoting a scripture, always saying how much they have given their lives to Jesus and are committed to his way. Well, I can't see how Jesus Christ would dip his finger in ink and vote for one or the other of two groups he knows to be a gang with blood on their shoulders. There is no way at all that anybody who claims to be a child of God, anybody who claims to be a Christian, who claims to have the Spirit of Christ residing in them, who claims to be a new creation, there is absolutely no way that you could join and partake of that unclean thing and go and put your ex beside their diabolical head or diabolical belt. No way. Now, the reason I created the UIC some 10 years when I started working on it in earnest, the reason I created the UIC, actually 11, no, somewhere there. The reason I created the UIC was because I know within my heart that I could never bring myself to vote for one or the other. Never. Now, none of us are perfect, so it's possible that you may, at some point, have voted for one or the other. You were innocent, I hope. You were really hoping that you were doing the right thing. That's okay. But you can't keep making the same mistake over and over again and hoping for a different or better result. For as long as we have been voting for these two parties, we have had the same, no, not the same result. We have had worse results. Yes, worse results. Over the last 78 years, crime has gotten worse. Over the last 78 years, the value of our dollar has gotten worse. Over the last 78 years, our education system has gotten worse. Over the last 78 years, our healthcare system has gotten worse. Over the last 78 years, corruption has gotten worse. So you tell me, how can we bring ourselves to continue to vote for this? Now you might be saying to yourself, well, the truth is, I didn't have any other option. Well, now you have a different option. You may not have been able to bring yourself to vote for the NDM when they were around, and I couldn't blame you. I like what I heard the NDM saying when they were around back in the 90s. I like some of the stuff that they were putting forward, but I didn't trust them because the NDM was a breakaway from the GLP, and I know that the NDM was created because of the fraction, we call it now, the factions, the breakaway factions in the GLP, and they wanted to get rid of Siaga, and so they formed this group. They weren't committed. Very quickly they returned to the fold. Many of them went back to the GLP in no time. So they weren't committed. Yeah, they weren't committed to a new Jamaica. Now, if you're really committed, you're going to stick with it. Now, when I started the UIC, I knew that this wasn't going to be a quick and easy thing. If I wanted quick and easy, then I would just join one of the other two. I would join one of them if I just wanted political power. But I don't just want political power. What I want is to see Jamaica be what Jamaica can actually be. We can be a safe country. I know that. The only reason we're an unsafe country is because the two parties we're trying to use to solve the problem have been involved in criminality all their lives. These two parties have been using crime to secure state power from day one. The first crime they committed was to get rid of Marcus Garvey. And after that, it's a litany of crime, including more than 800 innocent or not so innocent persons being murdered during the 1980 election. So these two parties are built on crime. They're built on corruption. They don't know anything else but crime and corruption. They cannot create for us a safe and clean and orderly Jamaica. That's not in their DNA. So when young people join those two parties, they're simply getting an infusion of the same kind of culture which has brought down Jamaica. You look carefully at all of their candidates, how they take up some nice little young people and turn them into monsters. Anybody who joins one of those two parties, if they stay, will quickly become what those two parties represent: crime and corruption. They cannot solve the crime problem because they are the crime problem. They are the genesis of the crime problem. They are the authors of the crime problem. They are the defenders of the crime problem. They are the protectors. And so because of that, they do not have neither the moral authority nor the intellectual capacity to address the crime problem that they have placed upon the backs of the Jamaican people. They cannot make Jamaica clean because they're dirty. They can't make Jamaica orderly because they thrive on disorder. They cannot make Jamaica prosperous because they are thieves. The only way they know to prosper is through thievery, through corruption. They don't know how to build an economy that's based on honesty and integrity, trading value for value with each other. They don't have that in their capacity. They can sometimes borrow the words. The more I talk, the more they borrow my words and try to peddle them. They can borrow the words, but they don't have the substance. They don't have the innate drive. They don't have the DNA for that. The UIC's DNA is coming from a place of purity, a place of truth, a place of knowledge and wisdom garnered from years of traveling and seeing other parts of the world and thinking about how to design a system that will benefit and uplift the Jamaican people. Their time has been spent the last 78 years, 84 years the PNP has been around, 79 years the GLP has been around. And remember, the GLP came out of the PNP with Bustamante. So 84 years of their time was spent not on how to build a safe, clean, and orderly Jamaica where everyone can live, earn, and retire with dignity in liberty. That's not what they spent their time on. They spent their efforts on how do we win and hold state power at all costs, using the same principles taught to us by our colonial masters, because after all, we are simply the Bakra masters. We are the representative of the colonial masters. That's what they are. So they cannot think the way they need to think and which they need to get the rest of the nation to think. They cannot inspire a new mentality. They cannot lift up the people of Jamaica from the miry pit into which they have suppressed them, because they are as dirty as the system that they have oppressed us with. So, my friends, the time has come for us to make a decision, and we're running out of time. The UIC receives donations of anywhere from as low as 800 US dollars or so per month to a high of about $5,000 or $6,000, I believe, per month. We operate in about $58 a day. The last time I did the calculation, about $53 or $58 a day we operate on. That's nothing. That's peanuts. If you want us to help you rescue your country for your child, your grandchildren, for a future that is better than the one that we have today, you're going to have to step up. We need you to go on the website, uicjamaica.com, and join and say, I want to be a member today. We need you to go on the website and say, I'm going to pay my membership dues of $10 a month US or $1,000 a month Jamaican. I want to sign up to be a part of the 1,000 who will contribute $25 a month or the equivalent. I want to volunteer to help with something, somewhere, somehow, to move this party and movement forward. I want to be a candidate in my community, in Hanover, Autumn in Betheltown, Westmoreland, in Gimmelibit, in Clarendon, in Malines Road, in St. Andrew. Wherever you are, Seaview Gardens, Olympic Way, Tivoli, River, Santa Cruz, Savlamar, Montego Bay, Lucy, Falmouth, wherever you are, Port Antonio, wherever you are, Morant Bay, stand up and be counted and say, I want to be a part of the change for my country. I want to be a part of the change. Raise your hand and find a place in this movement and help to turn the wheels, help to push the vehicle, help to supply the gas, and help us to rescue Jamaica. This, my friend, is Jamaica's last hope. The government right now is working overtime. They know that they have broken this country fully. They know. They're worried stiff that you will take action. They're trying every possible, every kind of bread and circus. They're trying to make sure that you do not take up this revolution fully. They're praying and hoping. They're hoping that the UIC will not get the donations we need. They're hoping that you will not volunteer. They're hoping that you will not run for office, that you will not become a candidate. They are really pushing every single possibility. That is why they have kept us out of the media. They have tried, remember, the oligarchs that fund them also own the media. So they control the media. They control the two parties. They now control the Bank of Jamaica. It's no longer the Bank of Jamaica, it's the bank of the oligarchs. The global and local oligarch is the bank of them. So they control the bank, then control the government, then control the media. Through the government, they control the education so they can continue to brainwash the people. You don't see what's going on here. They have us covered. They control the education. It's pure foolishness and teaching in the school. Honestly, they're not preparing our children to survive and thrive, innovate and create, and be able to be a leader in the global world. They're graduating incompetence upon incompetence every single solitary day. They're filling up this country of people who are incompetent, people who do not have the requisite reasoning, understanding, comprehension, communication skills, logic skills, mathematical skills. They're making sure that we do not have a strong and healthy, vibrant, brilliant country. They're robbing us of our intellectual capacity through our schools. And then they have led us down a path of physical disaster with a healthcare system which is built around dependence on pharmaceutical instead of having the wisdom and the knowledge to protect our mind, our body, and our spirit. They've robbed us of this through miseducation. They control the education of our teachers so that they can miseducate the teachers to miseducate the children to create a miseducated society. That's what these two parties have done. They have destroyed us from the inside out, from our mental capacity right out to our productive capacity as a people. So we better get up now. We who can still think are the last hope. If we allow them, if we allow this generation to pass, those of you who were born 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, if that cohort of us is allowed to be washed away and replaced by those who have been given an even more inferior education, my God, you don't want to see Jamaica in a few more years. We better get up now, my friends. I'm not I'm not a politician. You can see that. I don't play the game very well, so to speak. It's a game, right? They have their game going on. I'm hoping we can break through this game thing. I'm not the flamboyant, charismatic, guy. I'm not the person who I work, right? I have a day job, if you will. It's my own business, but it's a day job. I have to work, I have to pay the bills. I work. So I don't have the luxury like the guys who are taking our tax dollars thrown up and down, and play games with you and try to impress you with the games. I want to impress you with the intellect. I want you to think. I want you to think and reason. Not because you shouldn't support the UIC because of the theatrics that I can put on. That if I can get up here and be like some whatever and say all kind of stuff and drop all kind of words and whatever, and you say, oh, Yeah, man, him and the man, and I may say, every morning or even me come on and say all kind of stuff and make all kind of noise and so on. No, we don't have time for that. I just want you to understand the real deal, right? If we're going to fix Jamaica, the UIC has taken the time. We have developed a 10-point plan where we've listed everything that we're going to do, 10 major things that we're going to do. We have clearly outlined for you everything, our philosophy, our vision, our mission, where we want to take this country. So we don't need to play now and spend a lot of time on theatrics and a lot of time on gimmicks to see if we can keep you enticed and engaged with theatrics. I want you to be engaged mentally, to think about the problem, understand the problem, appreciate the solution, and then let's work together to get it done. We have played the game, the fake game of politics for far too long. It's time for us to get serious now, fixing Jamaica once and for all. And I'm here for you, and I'm here for you. So let's not allow these two fellas and their two colonial parties to trick us again with bread and circuses. We have water pollution to fix. We have mining to be replaced with organic agriculture. Let's not be fooled by Bruce Golden coming out now subbing for Andrew. He has no credibility. He's coming out attacking teachers about their vacation. Don't let Andrew use Bruce Golden as a mouthpiece. He's not elected. He has no accountability right now. He can say whatever he wants. His days are done politically. So don't let Andrew, I think they called him Baby Bruce once, use Bruce Golden now to mislead, misdirect, and discredit our teachers. You might recall that Bruce Golden was the one that handpicked Andrew to become Prime Minister after he was disgracefully forced from office by resignation. He handpicked Andrew. Now, if you look what's going on, they're trying to unite the GLP and PNP against the teachers, against the police, against the nurse, against civil servants, against the people of Jamaica. That's what's happening. The two parties recognizing that their time has now come to face the harsh reality that they have misled, misinformed, misrepresented, and undermined the Jamaican people. They now realize that the time has come. The people are recognizing, the people are feeling it. The people now know that something not right here, so this not right. It's time for us to move on. So what they're doing now, they're going to unite. They united the other day against you with the injection stuff. They united with the misinformation. They were united in the pressuring of the people. They were united in calling for mandates and calling for mandatory stuff. Don't forget, they were united against you. They were united against the people of Jamaica at a time when they should have stood up for the people of Jamaica against the global oligarchs that wanted to do this thing to us. They were united against you, the people of Jamaica. And now they are uniting even more to make sure that they can implement the new laws and new structures that their global and local elites have instructed them to do. So Mark Golden can't step out of line, because if him do, he will not get enough funding to be competitive in the next election to see if him can be the one that win the trick. And Andrew, of course, is a loyal follower of the crown. He became a Queen's Counsel. He lapped up every direction that was given to him in the last episode of the plan them thing. So he's loyal, he's committed to following the line. And the so-called opposition leader was nowhere to be found when these things were being pressed upon us. So him too is loyal to the process. So both of them are very loyal to what is being done to Jamaican people. And let me tell you what they're going to do. I'm going to summarize now. In the coming weeks and months, this is the plan they have for Jamaica. In the coming weeks and months, this is the plan. They want to make sure that Jamaica is on a new monetary system, a digital monetary system where the powers that be globally, through their local puppets, the government, will be able to dictate who may buy and sell and what they may buy and sell and who they may buy and sell from. That's what they're going to do with this digital currency, which is programmable, which means they can program it with logics that says, if Joseph himself, don't allow him to buy and sell, or don't allow A to buy from him, or don't allow him to buy or sell certain things, lock him down. So the next time they want to prescribe a particular form of health care or medication for you, whether or not it is going to change your DNA or otherwise, the bottom line will be, if you don't fall in line, they will simply turn off your access to money, because they will now have the most powerful tool the world has ever seen, electronic money, as the only money in town. And not just electronic money controlled by a central authority like a god. That's why they like to talk about central bank, centralization. That is the foundation of communism. That is the foundation of dictatorship, to have centralized authority so that they can centrally dictate, mandate, and enforce whatever they want to without any recourse for the lowly peasant that they will now have full authority over. Full control over your money, which is the most powerful tool. They will also have full control over your body. They already have it to a large degree and you didn't realize. They have set up a system whereby the only food that can be sold for the most part are the foods that they authorize. Any food that they don't authorize, they have cauterized. They have limited your access and gradually have eliminated that from the market. Just like they have eliminated a lot of natural seeds by using GMO seeds, so that they can more and more eliminate your access to seeds that will replenish themselves naturally. They want to get rid of all of those from society. Only have seeds that you use once and you must come back to them and buy. They want to fully control your access to food. They will pass legislations which will stop you from being able to have your backyard garden and freely plant. So they want to lock off your food supply. They want to lock off your money supply. So the only way for you to have access to these things is through the central authority, and only if you are doing what the central authority says you should do. So you're getting a new God now, this is a new God. Okay? So they're going to lock off your food supply, they're going to lock off your money. The same thing with your water. They're going to say water is so precious, so you must not have any freedom to do what you want with water. So they will lock off your water supply and your control and say, this is what you must do. And if you don't do it, we won't give you access to any water. So water will be scarce and well managed. And if you catch any off the roof, that will be illegal. You must only use the water that they prescribe in the manner that they prescribe, when they prescribe. So water will be controlled, food will be controlled, money will be controlled, your body through medication will be controlled. So you can't go to any doctor you want, only the doctors that they prescribe. This is already here, you know. You just never realized it because they so designed it that it looked like it's okay, but it's not okay. They're taking away your right to choose your medication, your right to choose your medical professional, right? Who you want to go to for medical treatment and so on. So you will not have, so the only people who can practice medicine will be those persons who practice medicine the way they prescribe. So if you don't practice medicine the way they prescribe, which is to make sure that you don't teach your patients how to live healthy, but rather teach your patient how to live dependent on medications that they prescribe, so that that industry can operate the way they want it, and your lifespan can be the way they want it, and your health can be the way they want it. So they're going to lock down your health care, limit your access to doctors unless those doctors follow their rules, limit your access to medical solutions unless those solutions fit within their package. So to manage your health, your body, they're taking over this. Your money, that's it. When they have your money, it's finished. So your money, your food, you can't just help yourself now because all of the rules that they set in place. So you can't grow nothing. And if you grow something, you're now violating their laws. Yeah. This is serious. So your food is going to be controlled. Your water is going to be controlled. Your body is going to be controlled in terms of your access to medicine and medical professionals. Your money will be controlled digitally. So you can't, once it's digital, you can't do anything. You have to say, just lock off Joseph, they lock him off. Lock off Michelle, lock her off. You understand? If she's not complying and behaving the right way. Follow me here carefully. Water gone, food gone, money gone, your body gone. Doctor. But it must stop there. So if you notice what they have done right under your nose, you no longer can get financial advice from anybody. The only person who can give you financial advice and not go to jail for it are those who they have accredited and say they are allowed to give you financial advice. And if the person who is giving you financial advice have not taken their courses and agreed to tell you what they have told them to tell you, then that person cannot practice, cannot be a financial advisor. And so you now can only be given financial advice that will keep you locked into the system that they want you to be locked into. You understand? So follow me. So they lock off your investments. You can't freely get financial advice. They lock up your money. You can't freely access and use your money as you wish. They're already doing that, but it's going to get tighter. They lock off your food. You can't freely grow food like you want. They lock off water. You can't freely harvest and use water the way you want. They're going to tell you can't use water because they say no. And they lock off your access to medical care because you mustn't have that either. Yeah. So I know they're interfering with the post, they're interfering with the live, they're putting all their stuff on there. That's the way they operate. You know, I'm surprised they haven't cut me off yet. But my friends, this is where we are heading, and we're heading there very fast. They're also taking away your freedom of speech. More and more, you're going to find the censorship increasing. They tested it the other day with the recent thing where every time you want to say something that fake speech or fake news or they flag you. Or right now I'm on a 90-day suspension from Facebook. You can't see many of my posts. They push it down or whatever. So they're going to censor you more and more. Anything you put up, it must be original content because they'll say you don't have permission to use this, and they lock you down further. If you use the wrong words or share the wrong idea or question something that they consider to be official, then you're going to be closed down. So more and more, they're going to take away your freedom of speech. Now, this is serious because what it means is when they're doing various things to us, you can't go and talk because if you go try to talk, they'll just cut you off. So other persons can't know that you are trying to say that something is wrong and we can't get together and talk proper. You understand? Then they will also control your freedom of movement. They'll come up with all kinds of different issues and say, for these issues, we have to lock down everyone. Don't move, don't leave your house, don't go anywhere or whatever. Or you can only go this far or that far, or or you can't travel unless you are, when we check your communications, yes, your communications are in line with the narrative that we have, you can travel. Your communication is not in line with the narrative, you're a threat to society, you can't travel. This is where we're going. This is where we are going. This is why the UIC exists. The UIC is the only political movement in Jamaica which is 100% committed to protecting your sovereignty as an individual. The only political movement in Jamaica that is 100% committed to protecting your personal sovereignty, your individual sovereignty. If you ask us what our values are, it can be summarized like this: individual liberty and personal responsibility. We want to make Jamaica the freest country on earth. And freedom does not mean chaos. It means you're free to do whatever you want with your life, your liberty, and your property, provided you do not use force or fraud to infringe on the life, liberty, or property rights of anybody else. You cannot ask for a better system than that. So you will be able to plant the food you want to plant, harvest the water you want to harvest. So you can live like me. I use very little NWC. I have them back up because I have been able to harvest almost 98% of the water I need from God's beautiful rain. So I harvest that. I trap it, I process it myself, and I use it. Yeah, I harvest the sun. So I have hot water to bathe with every morning if I want, or at night when it's cold, because I harvest the sun with a solar water heater. I harvest the sun with my solar system and provide most of the electricity I need. And I have JPS as backup. Yeah. You must be free to live the way you want to live. Nobody has the right to want to take away your freedom of choice. You must be able to choose the medical doctor you want to use. And a medical doctor cannot just be those that are certified by a particular group of people with a particular agenda. We need to make sure the market is open so we have choices. So we can learn, we can see options, we can try different things. Maybe the herbalist has a better answer. Maybe the naturalist have a better answer. Maybe the naturopathic person has a better answer. Let us allow all of these opportunities to compete in an open market and space. So you have a variety of medical, of food options. You have a variety of education. You have a variety of economic options. There should not be a system that denies the human spirit and ingenuity from creating new things and trying new and exploring new opportunities. And so we are going to create the freest country on earth. And with that, Jamaica will be one of the most prosperous countries on earth. If Singapore do it in the size of a space that's only St. Thomas with 5.5 million people, small space, we have an abundance more in 15 times the size of Singapore, and we only have 3 million people living here and 4 million of us living overseas. We must do better. And under a UIC government, we're going to change the system so that all Jamaicans can live better. Our vision is a Jamaica that brings out the best in all its people. Our goal is to create one Jamaica, united, strong, and free. Our mission is to create a non-partisan constitutional republic that will protect the life, liberty, and property rights of all Jamaicans equally. And our 10-point plan makes it very clear how we're going to do it while protecting the rights and freedom of every Jamaican here at home and abroad. We are going to build a new Jamaica. We are going to be stronger together. We are going to be the non-partisan constitutional republic of Jamaica, a shining beacon of hope for all people around the world. As a matter of fact, we're going to have to issue visa for people coming here because they're going to be running away. They're going to be running away from those other countries to come here. You're going to have Americans, Canadians, Britons running away from their country because of the lack of freedom and coming here because they want the freedom that we have. Yeah. The UIC is going to make Jamaica the country where every person on the planet wants to live because of how free, how peaceful, how clean, how orderly we shall be. We're going to prosper because of freedom. We're going to prosper because we're going to invest in our human capital. We're going to prosper by respecting and empowering our people to be their best selves. And with that said, I must tell you good night and thank you all for being here with me. I think there are lots of comments though, in the chat section. So let me see if I can just go through a few of them before I wrap it up. It says Sister Janet. Okay, what do we have here? Lots of nice comments here, and some opposition as well. Okay, that's awesome. JMH says this is why the UIC is the last hope for Jamaica. Okay. Protect your freedom by voting for the UIC. Absolutely. Okay, what do we have here now? Let me see now. I'm trying to read some of these questions, but they're long. Long comments. Let me see. Maybe Naika, you can help me with some questions if you saw any. Good night, Marva. Good to see you on. Thanks for joining. Yes, Natalie, that Bruce Golden fella. I mean, I really don't know why he bothered to come out now and make any comments. I mean, given his performance, he should be very quiet. It's a pity that he's getting a prime minister's salary in his retirement age for what he has done. Yes. Oh, by the way, they're trying to even eliminate homeschooling with their tricky policies. All right, let me see. Any questions, anyone? I'll take some questions now if you have any. Then we'll wrap up in about 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Patterson. As usual, very powerful. Lion Rule, thank you. Should Mrs. Patterson speak on issues that currently affect the country? From this, he will able to make his point more effective to show. Okay, Roland, thank you for that. Not too sure. How does a person protect their individual sovereignty? The only way to do that is to make sure that we elect the UIC government, Shira. We have to elect the UIC to give us a new constitution that is designed for us to protect us from our government as well. So isn't this interesting? When the UIC becomes government, we want to put in a constitution that will protect you from the government. Yeah. So we're gonna, the government is supposed to protect you from criminals, but you need a constitution that will also protect you from government to make sure your rights are protected, your individual sovereignty are protected. So we're going to do that. Supreme TV says, how do you change the mindset of the people? By education, Supreme, by what we're doing now. But when we're elected and we have the taxpayers' money, we're really engaged in broad scale education, right across the country, because we'll be able to be on every platform, just like right now the government is using all the. We will use all of these platforms as then to educate the people. Okay. Next question says, oh yeah, good. How many candidates do UIC have? Well, the number changes from day to day as people join. Some candidates come on, some drop off, because of various personal challenges that they may have. So we're fluctuating. But you'll hear, once the election is called, and you'll see the full slate. Thank you. Have you reached out to clergies for promotion? Ruth is asking. Yes, we're in dialogue with many church leaders. I've met with you and continue to be in touch with all of them. Cecile says, good morning, everyone. I guess you're in the UK, so good morning, Cecile. All right, well, I guess that's it for tonight. Again, folks, thank you so very much for your time. Looking forward to speaking with you again. I'm going to be on Thursday. Is it this Thursday? Yeah. We're talking about why are we so poor. So I'll, explain exactly why we are so poor, and I'll show you how we can overcome that, both personally and collectively as the Money Doctor. Thanks again. Have a good night. See you soon. Take care, and all the best to you and your family. Take care. Bye bye.